Well, it happened. These two 2019 KTM models, the XCW TPI and the XC, were in the shop a little bit too late one night alone, and one thing led to another, and they're gonna have a baby. Stick around. I told you guys to keep your hands off one another. My goodness. Hey guys, I'm Kyle with Dirt Bike Channel, and that's right, KTM has announced this week that the XC bikes over here are going to have TPI. They're going to be fuel injected. Now, we don't know a ton of stuff, but we can infer some of the things off the press releases, and we can infer some of the things off the pictures. I've got some good stuff, I've got some bad stuff, and I've got a major whiff that we're going to talk about. For all you people that think I'm just a KTM fanboy, I'm actually going to start out with the big whiff that I can see on the 250 and 300 XC TPI. And yes, it's a huge whiff, and that is the fact that they are removing the Kickstarter right here from the 250 XC and the 300 XC. That is a major whiff, because sometimes things happen to your battery or to your starting system. Now, I get it. You guys are going to say, like, Kyle, do you have a backup starter on your car? But no, I'm not driving my car or my truck nearly as hard as we're riding these bikes. I have been with people on, I don't know, 6 or 7 times when we couldn't start a bike with the electric start, and it's anywhere from, like, you have a short in the wire because you dump it over in a massive boulder field, or your battery goes dead because it's too cold, or your battery goes dead because you run a fan on the bike, or your battery goes dead because it's 3 years old, or your starter fails because there's too much mud in there. There's a ton of reasons why it makes so much sense to have a backup Kickstarter on the bike. It doesn't, supercross bikes, I get it, you're right by the track. Motocross bikes, motocross bikes, you're right by the truck. We are 50 miles from nowhere sometimes in the middle of a 70 or 80 mile loop. So that's a huge whiff, and I had to bring my son's bat in here just to make the point. KTM, we don't care about the 2 extra pounds. You're already making the bike heavier by adding the EFI on there. Please, please, please leave the Kickstart. Now, I understand that on the pictures, it looks like you can add it back in, but that's just another thing we have to do. KTM, I beg you, do not take the Kickstart from us. Okay, I just put the bat down. It actually took me a couple days to cool down to the point where I could do that, and that looked like an angry rant, and that's because it is. But let me go back into the good stuff that happens when you go to TPI. I have some good things and I have some bad things. Number one good thing is that there's no more tuning of the bike. Now, that's also going to be a bad thing, so hold on just a second. But there's no more tuning of the bike. This KTM 300 XCW TPI, I don't have to tune this. When I get it, it doesn't matter what my altitude is. I don't have to rejet the bike, it just runs. The Husky that I've got outside that I'm giving away in just a day, that bike doesn't have to be tuned, and so that's a fantastic thing. Another fantastic thing is there's no more mixing your gas. You're going to put your oil right here, your premix oil right here on the bike, and it holds enough for probably somewhere, it's anywhere between 3 and 5 tanks of gas, probably more like 5 tanks of gas. So you don't have to premix, that's a cool thing. These bikes also run very crisp and very clean. These TPI bikes are bikes most people have never actually seen the way a 2-stroke can run, because most people don't actually get in there and start tuning their carburetors. So the fact that the TPI or the XC TPI is now going to be have that really crisp cleaning running motor, that's going to change a lot of people's perspective on 2-stroke. So that's a good thing. Another good thing that I see coming from this is I personally like the XC platform better than the XCW platform. I like the geometry better. I like the steering better. I like the transmission way better on the XCs. You also get a couple of upgraded parts, like you get billet aluminum triple clamps versus just like a cast triple clamp on the XCWs. On the XCWs, you can get that billet triple clamp if you're going with like the 6 days model, or if you get the Husky version, you get some upgraded parts. But I like the XC platform quite a bit better for a lot of things. It's not perfect, but I like it quite a bit better. It even has a stiffer valving so that you can go faster into things. Another benefit of TPI coming over to the XC model is I like the forks better on the XC models. For the last several years, they've had an air fork. I think now they're going to change it up and they're calling it the exact fork, but it's still an air fork. And I think it offers a lot of tunability. It offers a lot of adjustability, and I think it's pretty darn good. And the valving, just for me, works a little bit better. I just think the XC platform, in my opinion, is a little bit better for us out in the West, where we do have some gnarly technical riding, but we also have some wide open stuff. And I think the XC gives you a broader range of stuff that you can ride. And so the TPI coming to this bike it's good. They're also touting that they've got an improved pipe. There's like some dents in it and it's like corrugated, and hopefully it's good. I think that the pipes on these bikes actually run very, very good. Yeah, they maybe are a little bit softer, a little bit thinner than some of the aftermarket pipes, but I don't think they give you an aftermarket pipe. I don't think it gives you a lot of extra benefit. And so they're trying to improve the pipe a little bit too, you know, so I'll give them that. Another benefit of these TPI bikes over the carbureted bikes is the TPI bikes don't drip as much fuel. They don't just dump fuel, and especially if you have to tip it over on the side of the trail, you don't have to turn down and turn the fuel off, and they're just not dumping fuel. If you watch a carbureted bike like this one, or any of the other carbureted bikes that you have or I have, they dump a lot of fuel out the overflow just because of the way the carburetors are designed. And so you're gonna waste less fuel, and I think that's probably why they're more fuel efficient, is because they're not wasting as much. KTM also tells us that they're putting a new ambient air pressure sensor on the bikes to help them adjust for elevation as you're rising and falling in elevation, which is good because that means the bike runs really good at any altitude that you're in. And I can attest that these TPI bikes do run really well at any altitude that I've taken them. They're also saying in their marketing literature that it's going to have an adjustable power valve. Now, this is something that we don't know everything about, because on this XCW TPI, they've said don't adjust the power valve, and they actually have the power valve painted, the adjuster painted, because I'd heard it was like voiding warranties. Well, we'll have to see if that's still the case on the XC TPI, because they're saying in the press release that it's an adjustable power valve. So we'll have to just watch that one. Okay, now moving on to the bad about this coming over to the XC line. We already covered the kickstart that's going away, so I'm not gonna beat that anymore like a dead horse. But one thing I will say is that now it's not as tunable like we can tune with the carburetor. KTM has got to give us, the consumer, the ability to run different maps and some usable maps with these bikes to make them more rich, to give them more fuel for whatever we're trying to accomplish, because it's one of the big complaints that a lot of people have on these 300 XCW TPI bikes and the 250 XCW TPI bikes, of which I've had a number of them. One complaint is that they run too lean, and so we want to add more fuel in there. Another benefit of adding that fuel is these bikes are kind of hard to start. They are the most cold-blooded bikes that I have, and I've had a lot of them. Now, not everyone says that they're cold-blooded, but I'm telling you, every one of the TPI bikes that I have ridden, and I've ridden and owned a number of them, like 5 or 6, they all have been slow to start. It doesn't matter whether it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Fahrenheit, they're slower to start than the carbureted bikes. They just are. The ones that I have had all have had that issue. So let us add more fuel into this, especially when it's warming up and when the engine is cold, so that the bikes can start better. I'm not excited about moving over to a TPI bike that has no backup Kickstarter, and then I'm relying on the battery to be able to start this motor. Sometimes they can't. So I'm gonna have to add the Kickstarter back onto it. And then I'm onto the Kickstarter again. Anyway, those are some of the things that I've noticed. Like they run lean. KTM needs to fix some of these problems. And I know they can. I know they can. TPI is coming to the XC bikes. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know how long it was going to take. It's also coming to the Husqvarna line, so the TX line is getting the TPI. We knew that was coming. I was hoping it was still a little bit off. And maybe you'll still be able to buy this in a carbureted version. It didn't really seem like it in the literature that they put out. So anyway, these two bikes, it's like these two bikes have come together and they're trying to take the best of both. But when you take the freaking Kickstarter off, you are mutating this bike and making it worse. KTM, stop making it worse. Please, for the love of everything that's holy, don't make these bikes worse by taking the kickstarts off of them. I think that's pretty much it. If you like these videos, please remember to subscribe to the channel. You can support us by going to Patreon. Another way that you can support me by not even costing anything out of your own pocket is to use the links in the description of these videos. I also have them at dirtbikechannel.com. There's a links section where you can use links to Rocky Mountain ATV, Motorsport, Amazon. Won't cost you a thing, but it'll help me out a ton. That's it, guys. And until the next video, have a good one.